And why y'all motherfuckers didn't tell nobody when you was recommending this series?
As someone who's been reading the manga for Remonster for about the last 8 years, I want to go ahead and clarify some things about Remonster, specifically the scene where they show that they have human captives. By no means am I trying to attack my mutual juice, I just wanted to clarify this. And also, there's going to be spoilers for things to come, so if you don't want to see the spoilers, click away from this video or swipe away. So the reason he doesn't jump into action right away is because there are hobgoblins that are in the tribe that are actually running things there. He doesn't have the power to actually stop them. But he goes into the treasure room, he sees the women later on in the series, and you find out that he basically sees that they're broken because they've been used and abused. And since he can't go about this in normal means, because the people who are happy with the status quo, as well as the hobgoblins that are leading the actual group, would just kill him for what he would do to the female. So he asked them if they wish to die because they're being used like this. And they don't say anything, but he left a vial of poison. And as you can imagine, they used the vial of poison and they died. So in a later chapter, he says, I'm a hobgoblin now, so I understand the desire for offspring, and we need to replace goblins that die on expeditions, but that has nothing to do with how he feels about the situation. So he says, do you think you could lead those women to me? Because he wants to try to change the way those women are being treated. And he said he decided to save those girls in that bottom panel, which leads to him having a fight for the top spot in the goblin community. And you can see that he's fighting the guy down at the bottom. He very quickly dispatches him, very easily as well. And as you can see here, afterwards he forbid anyone from laying hands on the girls and intended to establish other rules later to kind of save them from having to go through that treatment. And he mentions that he doesn't mind if they do run away. They would die from the monsters that are in the woods anyway. So he decides that keeping them there is the best, but he's not going to let anybody hurt them. And he's going to provide them with the basic necessities while they're there. And eventually he hopes that they'll be able to return home. Later on, he even catches those goblins because they're still there. The goblin that he beat is up at the top, and then some other goblins that are part of his group. He catches them trying to sneak into the room where the women are while he's asleep so he could try to take advantage of them. And you can see he says, see, I told you not to touch him and you can't control your desires. And why can't you satisfy yourself with other goblins? And he says, once you try a human, you can't just be satisfied with goblins anymore. And you can see here he says, like I care. And then he proceeds to kill him. And he killed all the other goblins that were a part of that. Now there's a later point here, even later in the manga, because you can see he's evolved to the picture that you see when you look at the intro to the show. Some of them did decide to stay and have sex with some of the people there. They were also, some of the people that were prisoners were given an aphrodisiac. But he says, I want them to be treated with the utmost care and be taken for companionship one-on-one only. Over here is the most important part. It says they must give their consent. They are also free to resist your advances. And it says violence and coercion will not be tolerated. So he is killing anybody that goes against those rules and trying to take advantage of the humans or any other captives that they have without their actual consent. So while there are harem elements, it's not the same as Goblin Slayer. The story actually goes pretty well in my personal opinion. But if you don't like the fact that those elements are in there at all, I would understand if anybody decides to drop it. I like the fact that they decide to take the element and put it there. They don't show anybody being taken advantage of, but they do address the fact that it's wrong, and the main character actually fixes the situation in a way that goblins are able to maintain their offspring while at the same time not violating humans and other captives that they have. Hopefully this clarifies kind of those elements, and this gets you guys to be able to enjoy this show without having to worry about those elements taking place again. But I appreciate you guys watching, especially if you stayed for the whole thing. And I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.